rusty wheels and knew I'd take her home. I brought her to my farm in an Amish neighborhood where simple living's valued. She'd be loved and understood. I put her on a treadle stand and coaxed her wheel to turn. I felt her joy and easing with my study and concern. I cleaned her and I oiled her, showed her off to all my friends, repaired the hurts of years and let her sew again.
Hello everybody, welcome back. So this beautiful Jones serpentine machine, it just says patent hand sewing machine on the front. This is a customer's machine, so no, she's not going to be for sale, but she is going to be completely restored. At this point, she is locked up. The only thing I've done to her is I did pull out her needle just to get a look at it, and to me, this looks like the same size as a modern needle. So I'm pretty excited about that because that's going to make things a lot easier, you know, finding things. So we're just going to very slowly take her apart, document everything, and see what we can do. Okay, so before I get started tearing into her, let's just get a good look. She is basically, at her core, a lovely shuttle straight stitch machine. Okay, and so her main shaft is exposed, which is nice, not gonna lie. And once I can get her turning, we'll see how she works. She has just the one back slide plate here, and she does have the shuttle and hopefully a bobbin in there. But right now I can't get to it. There's something on here. It says Jones and Company Guidebridge, Manchester, I believe, with a little emblem that looks like a bird on there. Can't really tell. So underneath, if you can see, it's a fairly simplistic mechanism down here. It is gear driven, you can see, so that's good. But yeah, she is completely locked up, so once we figure out what is locking her, then we can, you know, start turning her. So I'm going to leave the wheel on for right now. Oh, wait, look. The wheel is now turning, but the clutch pin is out. There, now the clutch pin is engaged. Okay. All right, so when the clutch pin is out for like bobbin winding and stuff, it turns, but it's something in the mechanism. All right, so we've narrowed that down. Let's pop it back into place. Isn't that a beautiful wheel with the little swirls? I love how they did things for the sake of being stylish and beautiful. You know, we've lost that, in my opinion. All right, well, let's just start taking this front cover off here. I'll try to do this without gloves because it is beastly hot in here today. I'm still hoping for air conditioning. We actually have ordered the unit, and hopefully it will get here when my husband has some help to put it in. That would be nice. So nice. So I'm pulling off this top little screw here and the plate. So we've got this little tension discs, you know, which are very dirty. Interesting. All right, so it looks like I need to unscrew this up here, and that's going to release this spring that is holding this in. That's what it's looking like to me. Let me go ahead and put it down. This front plate is brass, and it should polish up beautifully, hopefully. Okay, unscrewing this little knob here. Kind of holding this in the back with my hand. Okay, so there's that little knob. And this is coming out some, so can I pull this off? Yes, that's the little pin that's holding it in. Okay. And at this point, that looks riveted on. Which is sad for me because I do not want to punch that rivet out. I am very hopeful that I'll be able to clean this with that in place. But because if you can see, there's no screw head here. That is punched on. The last thing I want to do is break something in here. But this is loose enough that I think that I can get, you know, something in there to clean those tension discs really well and everything. So I'm just going to leave it like that for right now. It is pretty dirty in here, so I'm just going to knock some stuff loose to see what I have going on. Let's see. This presser foot is held on with a little screw, and I'm going to try to get the presser off first. Not going to use that one. You know what? I need to clean that out. That is just full of gunk right now. Actually, before I get started on this, since she is locked up, I am going to give her a good dousing with penetrating oil all over the place because she is going to be repainted. That is not any danger to her paint and everything. And there is, on eBay, there's a guy in Portugal who makes the reproduction decals for this machine. So those have been on order. So hopefully they will be arriving shortly. So let me go ahead and douse her. Do a couple other things done in the shop, and then we'll come back and finish taking her apart. Just sprayed her down, but I want to show you the spring or whatever that holds the bobbin winder is actually still functional. So that's another yay. Okay, let me let her sit and wipe up my massive puddles of penetrating oil here, and we'll be back. Okay, I'm going to try to take off this big plate here. Just so I can get to everything underneath it easily. Again, what a great design to be able to access everything. You know, looking at something like this, it seems really intimidating at first, but they made it so user-friendly. I'm really happy with that. So we got 4 screws here. And again, I'm going to try to polish up this plate really well. I'm thinking that that will help. And I'm trying a new microphone this time because trying to, you know, make improvements as I can here. So if you can tell any difference, mostly it's as I'm away from the camera because previously I've only used the microphone that's built into my camera, and as I walked away, it did not work, you know. Let's see here, the moment of truth. Look at that, it just comes right off. So there is the massive plate. The little slide plate fits in here like this with room for the presser feet. Okay, let me go ahead and put this and it screws away. Okay, now one thing that's different on here than some other machines is the spring for the presser foot is down here. It's not up in this section, it's down here. So I'm thinking, oh, I gotta show you a close-up of this presser foot when I get it off. It's intriguing. I may have to tip her up so I can press down to get this. Wait a sec. Move you over. Okay, well, just trust me. I'm going to push straight down and try to get this little screw off. Okay, I think you can see now. And it is turning, which is good. I'm afraid it's going to bounce down with that spring. Let's just try to hold it here. So there it is, a very long little round-headed screw. Well, it's a bit stuck, you know, as to be expected. I'm going to go ahead and loosen up the clamping screw over here. See if I can just tip her down. Let me get her something to rest on. Okay. So let's clean that out. So much goop. Centuries of goop. I am not seeing a serial number at this point. As I continue to take her apart, if I find one, I will let you know. And then maybe somewhere out there we can figure out her age, because online they give a range of years that these were made, but I don't know exactly. I need to put this up here. Okay. I was not wanting to turn. It's still full of goop, actually. Let me clean that out a little more. I just got a little wire wheel to get in here and clean up some stuff so that when I do loosen her up, that she'll be able to come off. This needs to come off up here too. All right, let me try it one more time. And I don't want to damage the screw, so if this one doesn't work, I'm going to go ahead and get some heat on it. Not wanting to turn, and I don't want to damage the screw. So let me put a little heat on that, some more oil, and while that is thinking about itself, I'll go ahead and be taking this screw off. Okay. This one up here is coming off. I believe this is the lifter lever up here on top. That is what makes sense to me. So it was on in this orientation, you know, with this flat part on here. I believe you can go up and down that way. Right now that presser foot is raised. So I believe this is raised, and when it comes loose, sideways should be down. Okay. So here it is. The screw is a little bit stuck in there. Let's see if I can just work it out. Well, maybe while it's in the ultrasonic cleaner, it'll work itself out. You can see it is churning, so that's a good sign. While I have that off, I'm just going to clean up around here. Okay. Let's see if that screw is in a better mood now. You can see it now. It's just there's stuff around the outside edge too. Hang on. Well, maybe we'll just come back to that in a little while, shall we? I think so. Before I put it away, I was going to put this tiny screw that held the foot on back in there so that I don't lose it while I'm going on to other things. And look, this is more like a wood screw with its little point on the end. It's not flattened out like a bolt. So I'm kind of wondering if this is the original screw, because now that I have it cleaned out, I can just push it straight through, you know? So that's an interesting predicament, but I am just going to push it back through. It obviously has been working, so we're not going to mess with that. Let's go ahead and look at underneath here. Right off, I see a whole bunch of thread stuck in right in here, which might have something to do with why she is locked up. So I'm going to just take some time and try to pick some of that out really quick to see if that has something to do with it, because sometimes it might, you know. Can't hurt to see. Well, maybe it's not that much thread. It's some, but it's not a terrible amount. Okay, now right here is the screw to take off the feed dogs, but I cannot get to it while it's in here because there is no hole from the side unless I'm able to this way. I might be able to that way. Okay. Let me get something with a different sized tip on it. I want to be able to get this nib all the way to the bottom of the little screw opening. And these are very different size screws than a traditional Singer, so let me swap them around. Okay, let's see here. And this is turning, so that's excellent. Oops, I think it might be loose enough to go ahead and this in. I usually use gloves because it's really messy, but it's so hot in here, my hands sweat so much. All right, so that's the little bolt, and see, it's got the flat top, like a Singer or a sewing machine bolt would. No, not like a pointy wood screw type thread. All right, so with that, can I show you, and can I get the feed dogs out? Let me try to just push it up from down here. Nothing over here holding it. I don't see anything over there. All right, get a bigger screwdriver in here and just tab it. It is moving. Just gonna go slow and steady. Throw some more oil in there. Come upon an impasse. I cannot get these out any higher because it's bumping against the presser foot, which at this point is stuck because I can't get that bolt loosened at this point. You know what this is telling me? This is telling me it's too darn hot to do this. Coat it up really good. Set it in the sunlight. It's like 100 degrees outside. I'm going to coat her in oil, set her out in the sun, let her heat up all day, and then we'll try her again later. Okay, I have brought her back in. The sun has moved and her table is now in the shade. So I brought her in and I was able to get that set screw out, which is a very big victory to me. So as you can see, I can rotate this whole foot now. It's still very stuck on down here at the bottom. So what I did is I came in with my Dremel and a wire wheel and tried to clean some of the nasties out of this spring, because I'm going to need to slide all of this off the bottom. From what I can tell, there's nothing else holding this foot on here, just gunk. So I'm going to have to carefully grab the bottom here with padding and vice grips probably, and something at the top, and just start turning so that I can get it to come loose. Excuse me. But as you can see, this has slid up, so that is free, so that's a good thing. So once I can get this foot pulled off, then I should be able to pull the whole presser bar off. Okay, so that foot is turning now, which is a very good thing. It means it is loose. So I'm going to see, that spring is putting a lot of pressure down there. I need to see if there's a way that I can pull it up here and hold it so that I have a gap down here while protecting the top part and all of that, and try to wiggle this downward. I'm just going to keep rocking and rolling here. It feels like it's getting looser. It feels like it's coming downward. I think it came off. Okay, it did. All right, let's take a look at this foot here. Look, it's got these little wires, and they're just on the top, but I'm guessing that's where the needle's going to go through. That is pretty cool. This is going to clean up really nice. I'm really excited about that. So now that that is off, let's get this little spring off of here. Okay, crusty little spring. You know what? I'm going to get my wire wheel out one more time and just clean up the rest of this yuck, and then I think it'll push out easier. It does not want to come off. It just does not want to come off. Well, I guess scraping is what we're going to be doing, and then I'll take a very fine sanding sponge and rub it off. So almost all the way around here. Okay, let me get my little sanding sponge. It's a little 600 grit. I get these on like Amazon or Walmart.com or whatever, and they come in bigger sheets, like 4x6 size sheets. And then I cut them into these tiny little pieces because that works for me. Okay, let's see if I can pull this up now. Yes. Oh, what is holding you up now? Something up here. And just like that, presser bar is apart. Look how gross that is. Okay, let me get that put away, and then well, let's see if I can just actually come back in here and pull these feed dogs up again. Probably have to push them back up from the bottom again. Oh, not going to do that while I have so many things out. Let me put this away and I'll be right back. Push them back up. And these are the feed dogs. Okay. So, ooh, I put the screw that goes with the feed dogs in with the lifter bar, the presser bar stuff. Let me dig that out, put them in the appropriate baggie, and then we'll get started on this needle bar. So what I need to figure out is where the needle bar clamping screw is. And I believe I see it under this crud right up here. So, again, leaning her on something. Let's see if we can expose it. And there it is. Okay. Now that we know where she's hiding, getting the yuck out. And seeing just how tough this is going to be. I'm going to drop things. Dropping things. All right. I have a fan on me just because it is so blazing hot that I need it to survive. Again, looking for a tip that's going to fit. I believe this is it. All right. Let's hope for the best, huh? Oh no. I don't think I can get this in place. No, see, this part here is going to bump into this part up there. Let me see about something taller. That will work. Yep, it's turning. Yay. I know you can't see it. My hands are in the way. Sorry about that. Okay. So here is the little set screw. I need to get this lifter lever out. Look, it's on a spring. You can see the little spring right there. It's It's kind of like a bobbin winder spring. You can see the tail of it sticking out here. So I need to get this out first before I can take out the needle bar. So that looks like it might work. Nope. Don't want to damage that screw. I'm getting junk out everywhere. Gosh, so much junk. Look at that, it's just coming out. Well, shoot. I may have to use something a little more heavy duty on here. So, let me go ahead and get that out. Did use my impact gun, but you know what? I can push really hard and just give it a little burst. And a lot of times it's less damaging than me fighting with it. So it's always scary though, I know. Okay, so here is this big long screw. Okay, and it's going in from the front to the back. Let's see what's going on in here. I'm thinking I should be able to pull this. Actually, hang on. There's a little hook on this spring. If we can get in closer here. Let's see. There's a little hook on the spring right here. And I'm thinking that if I can pull that down and off, trying to see which side it's on, that I can just let that spring free. Well, let's see if this comes out this way. Okay, so that's free there. Okay, so if I let this off of its little keeper, there's a tiny little hole in the casting right here. Okay, there's actually two holes. It was the top one that was in. So I've pulled it out of there, and now this spring loses its tension so it can go down. And since that spring is down, I am assuming I can wiggle this out. It's very tight in here because there's a whole lot of crud. Hang on a sec, I'm going to clean that off. I'm thinking this is being blocked by all of this crud that's on here. So I just took a wire wheel to it to try to get it off, but it's too hard for the wire wheel, so I'm going to try the X-Acto knife. Come on. There's the piece of crud that it's blocking on. Oh, almost, but look how cruddy that is right there. It's literally just goo that's keeping it stuck together. Not wire wheel. There it goes. What a chore. Okay, this is angled down, so remembering that goes downwards. And this is the nut for it, and I should be able to somehow get this spring out now. I'm not too sure exactly how, because it's kind of going in that way and then out that way, and it's just on hole. But I'm thinking if I can push this tip down, pull this out a bit and then turn it, or do we just leave it in place and clean around it? Because it's a fragile spring. It's probably 100-and-something-year-old fragile spring. Do I really want to grab it that hard? Right now my answer is no. No, I don't. Now when I put this in my stripper, it's going to pull out a lot more gunk than I can get to. It'll get to the internal gunk. And there's a chance that when I pull it out of the stripper that this will just come flying out. But I think for right now, I'm just going to leave that and clean it in place. Okay, so I need to get the needle bar out, obviously, but looking straight on, I've got a lot more stuff to clean before I think it's going to slide out. So again, it's going to be wire wheel and X-Acto knife on this for a little while. And there's stuff on there I just need to cut off. So give me a moment. I'll be back when it gets more interesting. Now, just letting you know, the wheel is still locked up, but I have a feeling it has to do with this maybe, that is locking it up. So at least that's my thought right now. I'm going to go ahead and take this screw off down here. This is the screw that held the needle on. And I'm going to stick this needle into a little piece of foam and save that with the needle bar stuff, so I have it for later. And once again, I'm going to try to grab this, with padding and such, and just try to rotate this needle bar to see if I can break it free from that clamp. Not yet. Not going yet. Okay. Maybe she just needs to soak a little longer. There's just so much gunk in there. Even in this hole over here, I can see a lot of gunk. So I'm just going to saturate that for a little bit. I've got it to turn. So if I can push up from the bottom, let me get something. Push up with this piece of wood here. Look, and keep turning. Is it coming out? Yes. Yay, okay. So there is my needle bar out, keeping it with all of this stuff. This piece is what a bearing is going to travel in. The bearing looks like it is attached with a screw right now, so I'm not going to worry about that. This is very crusty. Can I turn it now? No, still can't turn it. Okay. I was sure that was going to be it. It must be something underneath then. Let's grab this shuttle out of here. Let's see what it looks like. It's a boat shuttle. Love a good boat shuttle. It just drops in like a row your boat kind of thing. It does have the bobbin inside. Some very greasy red thread. Oh, I will deal with that later. But it looks to be complete, so that's a great thing. I'm just picking out some yuckies. She's seriously crusty. It's like she went from oily to dried out to just crusty. Lots of stuff going on in there. Yeah, lots of stuff. Okay. Well, let's see what else on top might be easy. I'm going to leave this thread guide in there for right now. You can't see what I'm pointing at. I'm pointing here, and there's another thread guide here. I just don't want to break those, and sometimes pulling them out can do that. We have a spool pen that is slightly crooked. I can straighten that out. That's not a big deal to me. I kind of want to leave the wheel on because it'll help me turn things for right now. So I'm going to go ahead and flip her over, and so we can work underneath here. Throwing tools on the floor. Okay, I am unscrewing this screw here. Let me get this out of the way. In here so you can see. Okay, I'm pulling out this screw, and it looks like there's some kind of a spring right here that it is threading through. So backing it out, I'm wondering if this is stitch length. It seems like it might be stitch length. That would make the most sense to me. It's a very long screw, okay. I'm going to take off this up here. Hopefully. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is what it looks like. The screw head is on this side and it curves down, okay? So the screw goes into this little hole in the casting and there's a little bump up here. And so this screw coming from the outside is going like this, okay? That's going to allow this to go out or in more. And that was bumping up against this piece, which I am assuming is going to dictate the stitch length once it starts moving again, because that should go back and forth. And I'm thinking the longer that screw is in, the shorter it's going to allow the stitch length to be. That would make sense to me, at least. I'm looking for what I could possibly take out next. What has an exposed screw? And I've taken off the feed dogs, which was in here. And I believe if I take this spring off, this should come out. But again, it's hard to say because everything, even if it should just slide out, it is cemented in place. So it's kind of a touchy thing to see, but I do know I need to take this spring off, so let's just do that. Okay, that spring is off. There's a little nub up here in the casting that loop of the spring just hooks onto. And down here, I see the end of this rod, which is going through. Is that crud, or is that is crud? Hang on a second. This is a lump of crud here, I believe. All right. Well, maybe we will have to take off the wheel so we can get to the gears behind it and back everything out that way. So let me go ahead and pull off this handle. It has a little crack in it. I might be able to fill that in. I won't be making a new one, but I might be able to fill that in so it will hold itself. This is the clutch release, and there should be a spring on the other side for that. I need to get to this big screw off, so give me a second. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm going to get this bobbin winder off. There's a screw right here to access it. I'm going to get that pulled off. Feels like it should just pull out. There it goes. All right, big shouldered screw. And that's holding this on. Look, it has like a leather belt around it, full of crud. Is it leather or is that rubber? It's lint over something. It might be a hard rubber. That could be cool. All right. This is very neat. So the bobbin goes in here and this is up against it. So that obviously it's kind of stuck and it needs to get cleaned out. This should be spring loaded. but it's very dirty. So hopefully when this gets clean, the spring will work again. I'm gonna go ahead and get this put away. Looks like there were cork feet stuck in here all the way around, little wooden feet. I don't have wooden feet, but I'll be able to screw into this wood some new feet when I'm done. So that's cool. Now I wanted to show you at the bottom of where that, my X-Acto knife so I don't drop that on myself. At the bottom of where the bobbin winder was, there's this spring right here. The screw to take that spring off is down here, where there is no human way possible to get a screw, at least at this point. And I'm holding off on fighting this bolt over here because it's stuck. Either way, it's stuck. And I'm trying to decide if it is reverse threaded or not. Put that down there. It would kind of make sense for it to be reverse threaded, but I don't want to, you know, destroy it in the process. So clean it out. I'll probably try it with a valiant effort on both directions, first regular threaded and then reverse threaded. And then if neither one works, I will go and do even more research and see what I can come up with. Because I was able to find a schematic of this, but it didn't say, at least I don't remember it saying, if it was reverse threaded. So I need to tip her up on her nose so I can press down. This is very greasy. So I'm going to try just regular threads. Ooh, ooh, she's not reverse threaded. Look, look, she's opening. Thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you. Okay. All right. Big screw. Is there a washer? Seems like there should be. It looks a bit shinier here, but that might just be a polish on there. Will it come off? And if it won't come off, why? Before I start jerking on it, I want to make sure there's no screws holding it in place. This is that spring right here that I was talking about. I am not seeing anything screwed in to the wheel. Oh, wait, what's this on the side here? Is that just an oil hole or is there something in there? I'm looking. I'm going to get a flashlight and shine it in here in this little hole. See what we can see. Excuse my head. Move you out of the way. Okay. Looking in there, there's no screw. It just goes straight down to the shaft. So I'm going to fill that with oil. Oil here, oil in there, and just spend some time wiggling it and see if I can maybe tap it out. So give me a moment. I've got way too many things up here. I'm just going around and tapping it gently with my little rubber mallet, and it is slowly coming off. And look, it's turning. Turning just because it's coming off. The gears are still stuck, but the wheel is off. Isn't that so cool? So I'm probably going to leave this on, this clutch pin. I don't see a reason to get in there and try to remove that internal spring. Those can be terrifying. And you see this, it has a big groove, so it could be put onto a treadle, you know, if you needed to, but hand wheel or treadle. Okay, setting that aside over there. Let's get a look at these gears, huh? Let's come down here. All right. So I have this big main one here, which should be engaging on this one up on top and the one on the bottom. The one on the top looks like it wants to turn. This one looks like it wants to turn. This one down here on the very bottom, it does not want to turn at all. So I'm thinking our problem is going to be down below, obviously, because, everything else is messed up. So I see the end of a shaft down here. Okay, you see that? That's the end of a shaft. So that's kind of a clue as to how all of this went together underneath. And there's our big shaft. I need to be able to disengage this. Give me a minute, I'm going to do some studying. While I'm looking things up, it looks like there's a lot of different models of this kind of machine. Did find a diagram for the internals of that bobbin winder. So, I'm going to save, I'm going to save this image. That's pretty cool. I'm thinking that she is from 1870s is what I'm getting right now. Aha, I have found our machine in the internets. It has the same center decal, same front plate, same little stamp, and the design is the same. Same tension release, no center thread post. So this is the Jones type number 5 from 1879. And it is, so that's going to help me figure things out. Type number 5, okay. All right, I didn't find a lot of information, just a great user manual, but not like an adjuster manual. But it looked like there might be a screw head up here. Is there? No. There is no screw head there. Okay, well that kills that idea. This looks, what I'm seeing is this is a pin. And if I pound out this pin, you know how I feel about pounding out pins, then I feel like it is this pin that is holding the next step in place. And up here is a secondary pin. Because there's no screws here, I believe I'm going to have to pound those. Now, thankfully, I'm going to be painting this machine, so if I do chip the paint while I am pounding them out, it is not going to be the end of the world. Besides, her paint is quite the mess as it is. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and clean around both the pin heads on both sides really well, throw some oil in there, clean off these shafts as best I can so that I'm not fighting against crud before I get started. Oops, okay. So on the lower side, there's the lower and the upper pin. On both sides, the lower pin is the same size head. Okay, on the upper pin, it's smaller on this side. This is the back of the machine. It is larger back here. It's more like a nail head here. So I know I'm going to have to tap from the front to the back. Okay, so obviously the machine is not in front of me. What I've decided, because I tapped on those pins as strongly as I felt safe to, and they were not going to budge, and I was not going to force it, because that cast iron looked so delicate, it terrified me to hammer on it hard. So what I have done is put the entire machine, not the parts I took off, but the machine and the bobbin winder into my Evapo-Rust tank. I just set it in there. It's covered with Evapo-Rust, and it's going to sit in there overnight with my phone. And I'll pull it out in the morning. My thought is, if in the morning when I pull it out, I will blow it out with high pressure air to try to blow out any gunk that might have loosened up overnight. And that might free it up enough to be able to turn. If I can get it to turn, but I still can't get those pins out, I might just leave them in. But I've got to get her to turn before I can make that judgment call. So I will see you tomorrow and we'll see what she looks like. Well, welcome to the next morning. Look at that. I pulled her out of the Evapo-Rust, rinsed her off, and then I got the compressed air and blew everything out. It blew a lot of junk out of her. And oiled it back up. And as you can see, things are turning. I'm very excited about this because I couldn't proceed until I got things loosened. I'm still not going to pound these pins out, but I feel like I can mask around the important parts down there, and we're just gonna, leave it as is. But I can put her into my stripper tank now, feeling confident that when she gets out, she is gonna sew. So I'm just gonna put that little spring back in where it's supposed to be so it doesn't get in the way. But yeah, look at that. Everything's turning. So if I tip her down here, and I did use a rubber strap over here. It's actually a big piece of huge shrink tubing. Those didn't work as well as vice grips. But this is what's going on down below. So as far as which spot exactly was the culprit, I don't know. I just don't know. But for right now, she is moving, and yeah, everything's good. Oh, look, I've turned it so much that the big gear came off. That's actually excellent because that's going to make it so much easier back here to get that painted. I'm really happy about that. Now this is connected to a shaft that's not coming out. Same thing with that, but getting that big gear off is great. This is that little spring I was telling you about that I had no idea how I was going to get to. And now that that gear is out, that's even too short to get this in. That must have been put in before the top was bolted to the bottom, which I am not taking apart. Even though it is only one bolt and there are no vertical shafts. That is an interesting thought though, isn't it? I usually don't disconnect the top from the bottom, but it feels like this one might do better that way. Let me ponder that for a minute, but for right now I just wanted to show you, that everything is spinning freely, and that is a fabulous move. I've given it a try with a 5/8 wrench. It does not want to move. I don't want to force it to move. I'm not going to dig these corks out. If anything, while it's in the stripper tank, they'll swell up and they'll fit better in there, so I'm not worried about that. The one thing I am concerned about is there are a couple leather bumpers in here that I feel like I need to pull out. So right here is one, and since it was in the Evapo-Rust, they've softened up. Oh, and I put the bobbin winder wheel in, and it cleaned up this. This is like a leather bumper or a felt bumper or something, and this has to be perfectly clean, or else it's gonna slide inside the wheel because it runs inside that hand wheel. And it was just coated with gunk. It's still kind of gunky, so I got to figure out how I'm going to deal with that. But I kind of want to get these out if possible. I mean, if not, they will survive in the tank. They're not going to have any issues, but there's one up here, and there's also one right here that rides on the inside. And you can see it's just coated with yuck that was stuck on this bearing, This is supposed to be a bumper so that bearing travels freely. Instead, it was gluing it to it. So I might leave them in. Yeah, but look at that. Just free as a bird. So I'm going to go ahead. I actually put her balance wheel in the stripper tank last night. I didn't have the heat on, but that's okay. It's hot enough that it's functioning without the heater turned on. For this, I don't see a good way to pull this off. So I might actually just mask around that and clean this up in my blaster tank, just my media blaster, just so I don't suck this in, because if this gets demolished, I don't know where I would find a new one, you know. So I think that that will work fine for that. But yeah, I mean, go ahead, stick her in my tank, let her marinate in there, and then we're going to get started painting her. So she is going to go back original. Her restoration decal should be here any day. So what I would do is, after I get her out, then we'll mask her up. And I'll show you how I'm going to mask her, just because she is so different than so many others. There's lots of little pieces of thread stuck around. I still don't think this bearing is going to come off. I think it's kind of locked in there. But look how freely everything is spinning. She's going to end up sewing beautifully. I'm very excited about that. Okay, so next time you see me, she's going to be all just metal, no paint, and then we'll take it from there.